Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate it. Really happy to be here. It's an interesting time in streaming. There's rumors of a Confluent acquisition. If you look at the market today, there's lots of streaming options out there. We ourselves are expanding our vision to go beyond streaming and include this new AI agentic world of the agentic data plane. Looking forward to the panel we have later. One of the members there, Stanislav, recently published a semi-tongue-in-cheek article detailing the death of Kafka. Even so, we remain committed and very enthusiastic about streaming. And so that's why we still have an entire day of Streamfest dedicated to that. And before we jump into talking about all the streaming features we have to deliver, I want to spend some time talking about our product values and how they relate to why I joined Redpanda earlier this year. There were a lot of things that went into that decision, but our strong alignment on values was a key part of it. I was looking for a good quote about values, and this one from Elvis feels fitting. Values are like fingerprints. Nobody's are the same, but you leave them all over everything you do. I feel like this really conveys sort of how the values come out in the products that you build and the way that they really sort of land with your customers. And when you're talking about values, it can mean a lot of things, including human values, like being a good human being. That was another reason I joined Redpanda, because it's full of lots of great people who, in my experience, have been good human beings over and over. That was important. But today I want to focus on product values. We spent some time earlier this year thinking about what are our core product values for Redpanda. We'd never really had them written down, but looking back, they've always kind of implicitly informed our decisions long before I ever joined. You can go back and look at sort of the very first Redpanda release, and every single one of them was present on day one. But going forward, we now have them as an explicit framework, and they're going to continue to inform how we build products and how we present ourselves to the world, how we show up for our customers. And so there are four of them. From left to right: simplicity, efficiency, interoperability, and safety. And so now I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about each, and then I'll kind of summarize at the end, how they all tie everything together. So to start out with simplicity, our first product value. This all started way back at the beginning with a single binary, no zookeeper, self-tuning, minimal ops. And this focus on simplicity, on ease of use expanded or continued, I should say, as we expanded to include console and connect. And now in the near future, it will also include Oxla as well. Each of these is self-contained, self-tuning. It does its job really well, and it gets out of your way. I've spoken for years about ease of use. In my opinion, and for the last decade or so, I've stated it's really the final frontier for streaming. Streaming is conceptually simple, but it's always been really hard in practice. And I think the end game for streaming is to make it so that you don't even realize you're doing streaming. It just sort of gets out of the way. So our goal here at Redpanda is to really align with that and simplify your experience. Our hope is that our products should always feel easy and magical, so much so that you sort of forget the complexity they belie. So that's our first product value. Next up is efficiency. I like the term efficiency because it captures a lot of important dimensions under one umbrella. There's cost efficiency, there's performance or throughput, there's latency, including, tail latencies and how tight or not they are. There's scale. All of them are important, and all of them are equally applicable. Minor digression, I've spent almost 20 years in the large-scale data processing realm. And despite our discipline encompassing some of the largest data-driven workloads in the world, it still blows my mind just how much traction Java and the JVM garnered. Back when I got my start in streaming, I was working at Google on a system called Millwheel, and it was built in C++, built on top of Bigtable, which was also built on C++. Like everything was like fine-tuned towards performance and a mindset of how do you get the most out of your hardware. And to be clear, I'm not a Java hater per se. One of my first projects on Millwheel was adding a Java API. It has its place. But I've never understood this idea of building large-scale high-performance systems in decidedly non-high-performance languages. Like it just doesn't compute. So when Redpanda first came out, it was a breath of fresh air to me to see a team who had aligned with using high performance native code languages, and I have a ton of respect for like the deep systems engineering that goes into building a system that runs as efficiently and as well tuned as Redpanda streaming does. And so as we've maintained our product portfolio, we've maintained that dedication to performance and efficiency. All of our offerings are built in native code languages. Connect and Console are both Golang. Oxla, which we've added recently, is C++. When we were first looking at Oxla and other companies, one of the things that really struck me in my first conversation with Adam was how passionate he was about machine level optimization. Cache line efficiency, NUMA architectures, things like that. That sort of stuff isn't even in the same orbit when you're writing for the JVM. And so it's just kind of part of our DNA to really focus on efficiency and making sure you get the most out of your hardware possible. Next up, our third value is interoperability. Our company was built on interoperability via the Kafka API. There's no doubt about it. Is Kafka the best streaming messaging system out there? Arguably no. Is it the most widely adopted? Yes. But history is rife with examples like this, of less capable tech somehow becoming and staying dormant. You can think back of, say, VHS versus Beta. Speaking about Kafka itself, Kafka versus Pulsar versus Pravega versus whatever. There've been so many, but Kafka is the one that's won. So be it. What matters is that's what people use. And so that's where we go. Same goes for Iceberg. Is it the most technically capable tech for lakehouses? Arguably no, but it's the most open, and so it won. And so that's what matters. Interoperability goes beyond protocols as well. It's also about meeting customers where they are. In our view, flexible deployment is critical. Serverless cloud services are awesome when they meet your needs. That's not always the case. Sometimes you need your private data to stay in your private network. BYOC lets you have managed services in your own VPC. Sometimes you need your data to never even leave your own private data center. Self-managed lets you run the right tools in the right location. Your own data centers at the edge, in point of sale terminals. And so our dedication and our interoperability applies broadly, whether it's protocols, de facto or open, whether it's deployment scenarios, and the flexibility to run your code where you want. Our goal is to never lock you in and never trap you in a walled garden. And then lastly, our fourth value is safety. And safety is all about being a good steward of your data. It's about not forcing you to risk data loss for the sake of performance. X equals 1, anybody? It's also about giving you oversight and control over your data. Making sure you know where it's coming from, where it's going, who's reading it, who's writing it, who's acting on it, humans or agents. Our goal is to give you the power to safely govern all of the data in your enterprise. So just to wrap it all up, I wanted to highlight this diagram again from yesterday. Now, this is an ADP diagram, but streaming is one of the core foundations of the agentic data plane. So it applies equally well here. Everything we build with the values I discussed: simplicity, efficiency, interoperability, and safety. We believe these values are essential to providing you, our customer, with the best products to serve your needs. And our goal is to always meet you where you are, to enable you to connect, move, transform, and govern all the data in your enterprise as efficiently and safely as possible for humans and AI alike. So thank you. Thank you for joining. We're really happy to have you here.